All right, so this is going to be a review of Don't Worry, Darling. It's directed by Olivia Wilde. It had quite a bit of production drama or drama on set. Originally, Shia LaBeouf was supposed to be in it. He was supposed to be the Harry Styles character, but there was some issues there. Maybe he got fired. He had some proof saying that he quit, and there was some things going on. There's definitely some drama going on there. And I think Olivia Wilde's dating Harry Styles now, so maybe that's how he got the role. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I was hearing about it, not fully, but I was hearing some things. So I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this is going to be good, but I kind of have to see it for myself. So we'll get into that. So in this movie, they live in this neighborhood. It's kind of traditional and things like that. The main character, Alice, played by Florence Pugh, she's married to Jack, Harry Styles, and they live in this community, and they know the neighbors, they party with them, drink with them, things like that. And all the men, they leave in the morning to go across this desert area that's around the neighborhood that the women are told not to go there and not to go to this headquarters place either. They're supposedly working on some kind of something. They're like engineers or something like that, but the wives don't really know. And it's all about discretion and not saying anything. So there's a wife, or one of the wives, that starts to go crazy because she starts to suspect some things. But she's gaslit, largely told that nothing's wrong and that she's just crazy and she's given medication and things like that. Eventually, that character's just gone. So Florence Pugh's character Alice starts to question things too, especially with what happened with that other wife. And weird things start happening around her, and she starts getting these visions and things. She has this tune that she keeps humming, and she doesn't know why. Uh, she starts to crack some eggs, and there's like no egg inside of the shell. Just weird things constantly happening. And she even goes to this little headquarters place. I know that's in the trailer. She goes to the headquarters place. She passes out, and then she just wakes up back at home. There's a definite theme of gaslighting here, where she's like, "Hey, how did I get home?" And she's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, you already asleep," and things like that. So it's all about her, really, challenging Chris Pine's character, Frank, who kind of runs everything, and her trying to figure out what's actually going on and to eventually maybe escape. So this movie is not the disaster that I thought it could potentially be based on all the drama and things like that in the production. It's just a bad movie instead. It's just not a very good one. But we'll get into more of that. But it's definitely not good, especially once you get to the ending, which I'll definitely talk about. But it's shot really well, right? It has some nice shots to it, especially with the whole neighborhood, and it has this more traditional feel. Nice costume design that really they really build that setting well. I think of the neighborhood. I forgot what it was called. Right, there's something about victory or something like that, and it does build the mystery kind of well to figure out what's actually going on here. Florence Pugh gives a pretty good performance. Not great, but pretty good. Definitely the best performance of the movie. And there's one scene that I really, really liked. It was at the dinner table. I think it's in the trailer, where Florence Pugh and Chris Pine, so Alice and Frank, they really start to go at each other, right? She's really starting to really ask questions and be like, you know what? How did you guys meet again? And wait a minute, you met the same way that this other couple met, and things like that. Kind of break it down how things really aren't making sense with the place that they're in and the different people and their backstories, and how people's memories are kind of not really working right. Let's get to let's get to the negatives. Uh, okay, so the movie starts off and it's automatically kind of a slog, right? The actors aren't really giving the best performances. It almost feels like they didn't really have much direction. I didn't see. I think there's another movie that Olivia Wilde directed. I didn't see that. It was like Booksmart or something like that. I didn't see that. I remember I wanted to see that movie, but I think it turned out all right. So I thought she was a decent director, but not from here. I mean, it kind of feels aimless. Not just the performance of the actors, but even just the movie itself. It feels like it's just scene for scene for scene for scene, and they're, Florence Pugh's just kind of hanging out. The Alice character is just kind of hanging out with the other women, and then some weird stuff happens, and then we move to another scene. And even though it is building the mystery in a way that I am kind of interested to see where it's going, it's not really grabbing me really that much with what's actually happening. There's not much development. And one of the big things, Florence Pugh and Harry Styles have no chemistry whatsoever. And Harry Styles is not good in this movie at all. Harry Styles, no matter how much Hollywood is like, for whatever reason, trying to push him on us as an actor, he's just not an actor, right? Is he terrible? No. Other than one scene that me and other people were laughing at, there's a scene, really dramatic scene, where something happens in a car, and he has to, cry and break down as a result of it. And there is no tears to be seen, and he's just kind of making a face the whole time. Ah! And then he starts screaming in the car, and that was hilarious. But for the most part, I mean, he doesn't really have much screen presence. Like I said, there's no chemistry between the two. It feels like to to kind of make up for the fact that they have no chemistry, they have to be constantly all over each other. I don't know if that's because he comes in to replace Shia LaBeouf. Maybe there was chemistry there, but there's none between these two. They're just constantly, every time they're around each other earlier on, they're just all over each other. And by the time things start to kind of split off between the two, to where they're not doing that, you really see that, they keep saying they love each other, but I don't believe it. So that was a definite issue. It was dragging and felt repetitive, and it felt like it was weird, but really for no point. Like, it's like every time Olivia Wilde comes up on screen, because she's also one of the wives in this movie. And I won't spoil what's really going on with that character, but I don't know what's. It reminded me of a certain MCU character, what's really going on with her. But whatever. It's like every time she showed up, I wanted to jump into the screen, like grab her by the shoulders and ask her, "Is there a point to any of this?" Because it felt aimless, right? It just did. But it could have kind of saved itself with this reveal. So there's an interesting reveal here, and I won't spoil what it is. But there's an interesting reveal, and it's executed so poorly that it just kind of feels like a bad Black Mirror episode with the reveal. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was something where I went, "Oh, okay." It doesn't really justify the movie up to this point and the issues that I've had up to this point, but hey, I'm kind of interested. And then the movie just ends. I mean, there's a chase scene, towards the end, and then things get revealed as a chase scene, and then things just kind of end. It was to the point where me and other people in the theater didn't know whether the movie was over or not until the credits started coming up. Uh, you know, it's interesting, and I do see how it connects with certain things that's happened and makes certain things make sense. But then there's still things left over where it's like, okay, what was going on with this thing and this thing and this thing? The guys in red suits that are kind of, doing things in the neighborhood and all that. What was that supposed to be? Like, it didn't really give a conclusion to Chris Pine all that much. There's kind of a moment between him and Gemma Chan, but they don't really go anywhere with that. I mean, the movie it really just ends. And it feels like, even though it's been long, kind of long up to that point, kind of dragged, by the time that reveal happens, it feels like there should be an extra 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes left where you really solidify it and end it with a satisfying conclusion. And they don't do it. It just goes to black, and I guess we're gone. That's it. That's Don't Worry, Darling. I was, yes, expecting worse, but when you have at least a little bit of promise here and there, it just feels weird that the movie just feels thrown together like this. Like somebody had a really interesting idea. It's bootleg Black Mirror, but whatever. But they just didn't know how to execute it, and I guess that would fall on the shoulders of Olivia Wilde. I'm not going to get onto her too much. She seems to be she seems to be going through enough with everything that's going on drama-wise around this film. But yeah, this one, it's not good. It didn't work. It still got enough things in there that were interesting that I will still give it a rental. As a matter of fact, if they'd have really, really gone far enough with the ending reveal, I may have even given it higher than that. I may have given it a positive review. But as it is, it just ended up being kind of underwhelming, with a little bit of promise, but for the most part, just a bad, underwhelming movie. But anyway, that is Don't Worry, Darling, and we're done.